It's Holland. What's good, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a part 2 of my Jennie Astrology birth chart reading using an alleged birth time. Since I already went over the zodiac signs for each of her planets and celestial bodies, I will not be going over those in this video. Instead, I will be only talking about what zodiac sign each house is in, what planet each house is in, and things of that nature. So if you haven't already watched part 1, I will leave that in the iCards in the top right hand corner of the screen. But before we get into this video, I recently uploaded a comeback review for the month of November, a part 2 to Rosé's astrology birth chart, and a part 2 to my Produce 101 scandal series on this channel. So if you are interested in those videos, I will link them in the iCards above as well. Now let's get into this video. First is Jennie's first house. The first house is the house of your outer expression, the mask you put on in public for the world, your persona, your approach to life, and your physical appearance. Jennie has her first house in Aries, also known as an Aries rising. Since Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, Mars is technically Jennie's planetary ruler of her birth chart. Since Mars is the planet of aggression, passion, sex, and masculinity, people with this placement are seen as people who are extremely passionate and have lots of energy to them. This also means that Jennie is very self-motivated and is very driven to achieve her goals. And like I said before, Mars is the planet of aggression and sex. So most people who have an Aries rising usually radiate a very strong sex appeal towards them and can come across very aggressive and tempered or very passionate. But overall, Aries risings tend to approach life in a very rash, confident, and direct and straightforward way. This placement makes a lot of sense to me because in Blackpink's Netflix documentary, Jennie stated how independence was a very important factor in her life and that she wanted the ability to achieve and do things on her own without having to constantly seek approval from other people. In terms of appearance, people with this placement tend to have a very naturally strong or athletic or lean body type. They have a bold and confident demeanor when people first meet them, as well as piercing eyes and a thickness in hair texture. Next is Jennie's south node in the first house. This means that in the past, and maybe still not to this day, she used to focus on and may still focus on her appearance, identity, people's perception of her approach to life, self-awareness, and outer expression. Also, since Aries rules the first house, this also brings some Aries-like qualities when it comes to her past and when it comes to her south node in general, such as a desire to do things on her own from a very young age and wanting to do things independently without the help of others. However, in this lifetime, she needs to learn that being dependent on other people isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that it's okay to help collaborate and help compromise with other people. Next is Jennie's second house. The second house is the house of money, your income, your personal values, priorities, and your relationship with the material world. Jennie has her second house in Taurus. People with second house in Taurus usually end up living a more luxurious lifestyle and tend to also have a very good balance between saving money and budgeting money, as well as learning how to pamper yourself every once in a while. And since the second house is also the house of self-esteem, people with Taurus second houses usually have a very high value of themselves and usually are very self-confident. And overall, she tends to have a very strong connection to and values her material things. Next is Jennie's third house. The third house is the house of communication, your siblings, neighborhood and local activity, early education, mental cognition, and socializing. Jennie has her third house in Gemini. This means Jennie tends to communicate her thoughts in a very quick and immediate way, but because of this, she may come across as overly opinionated and someone who talks impulsively without thinking. And since Gemini is an air sign, she may have a hard time communicating her emotions to other people. In terms of learning and mental cognition, she tends to be a very fast learner and absorbs knowledge very easily and quickly like a sponge. So because of this, she may have had a very easy experience when it came to school. Next is Jennie's fourth house. The fourth house is the house of your home, your family life, your self-care, your childhood growing up, and your relationship with your mother. Jennie has her fourth house in Cancer. She has a deep attachment to her home life and ancestry. She associates the notion of home with the people dear to her, and she feels a sense of being an obligation when it comes to the people that she calls family and the places that she calls home. She values her privacy and takes time out of her day to take care of herself. Next is her 5th house. The 5th house is the house of romance, love, creativity, entertainment, performance, children, and procreation. Jennie has her 5th house in Cancer. Since Cancer is a water sign, this means that Jennie tends to have a very emotional connection and a very strong sense of clinginess to her romantic partners. In romantic relationships, she seeks stability, safety, comfort, and long-term support from her partner. She also has a deep attachment to her children, her hobbies, her romantic partners, and entertaining other people. Since Cancer rules the 4th house, the house of women and femininity, most if not all of her children will be likely girls. Next is Jennie's 6th house. The 6th house is the house of health, fitness, work and employment life, service, and sense of usefulness. Jennie has her 6th house in Leo. Since Leo rules the 5th house, the house of performance and entertainment, this creates a work environment in which Jennie has to constantly perform for other people, as well as express herself creatively. She needs to approach every project with joy, excitement, and enthusiasm, and she takes a lot of pride in being praised or rewarded for her work. When something is going wrong with her work life or her health, she feels very upset and can develop a lot of stress. It is important for her to look for a work environment where she is able to be social, as well as be able to see the long results of her hard work. Next is Jennie's 7th house. The 7th house is the house of long-term romantic relationships, marriage, contracts, business partners, sharing, compromise, and collaboration. Jennie's 7th house is in Libra. This means she has a strong sense of being able to collaborate and compromise with other people. She chooses romantic partners very carefully and looks for someone who is willing to compromise. Since Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and aesthetic, her future spouse is likely to be very beautiful, charming, and interested in artistic or creative activities. Next is her North Node in the 7th house. This means that in the future, if she wants to be the best person she can possibly be, she needs to focus on one-on-one relationships, long-term romantic relationships, marriage, collaboration, and compromise. This placement tends to create a destiny to be married. Next is Jennie's 8th house. The 8th house is the house of sex, intimacy, shared finances, inheritances, taxes, loans, assets, property, mystery, and taboo subjects, as well as transformations, peak experiences in life, or death, and depth interactions with other people. Jennie has her 8th house in Scorpio, as well as her Pluto in the 8th house. This means Jennie tends to think long and hard about the taboo issues of life, which others are too scared to address. She may have a strong philosophical or religious belief system, which gives her the strength to face her fears and conquer everything that she stands for. When it comes to her joint finances, she may be very secretive about what she spends and where she invests her money into. In terms of her death, it will likely be a very mysterious, surprising, and intense and spiritually enlightening death. Since Scorpio rules the sex organs, there's a high risk of sexual-related diseases such as STDs or HIV. So if she's sexually active, it is important for her to get checkups regularly with her doctor and remember to wear protection at all times. Next is her moon in the 8th house. This placement kind of amplifies her already Scorpio moon, because since the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, having a Scorpio moon on top of that kind of intensifies this in a way. This means that Jennie is a very private and quiet person that doesn't tend to open up with others very easily. She may have had a more traditional upbringing and prefers to keep private matters to herself. Also, moon in the 8th house usually creates someone who is very, very skeptical and suspicious when it comes to financial investments and prefers to only invest her money into things that she knows that she will profit off of. Overall, this placement indicates that Jennie prefers to live life to the fullest, experience intense and climactic moments in her life, and create deep connections with other people. Next is Jennie's 9th house. The 9th house is the house of philosophy, religion, ethics, morals, higher education, adventure, and a search for a higher meaning in life. This means she is very open to visiting new places, learning about new cultures, meeting new people, exploring her spirituality and religious side, and expanding her horizons of her intellect. She has a very optimistic view of life and tends to believe that there is more to life than where she chooses to live. Next is Jennie's 10th house. The 10th house is the house of career, long-term goals, public image, and recognition. Jennie has her 10th house in Capricorn. This means she takes a very slow and steady approach to work. She has an image for being very practical, hardworking, and a determined person, and she takes her career and profession very, very seriously. Next is her sun in the 10th house. This means she urges to work towards her goals, success, and accomplishments. And overall, her ego is very, very placed within her long-term goals and her career, as well as her public image. And since the sun rules Leo, which rules the 5th house, the house of creativity and entertainment, it makes sense to ask why she chose a career in which she is constantly performing for other people and entertaining blinks. Next is her Neptune in the 10th house. She might struggle to figure out what she wants to do in her life and her overall purpose in this lifetime. Since Neptune is a very imaginative and creative planet, creative professions along with careers that deal with the arts are a great fit for her. Next is Jennie's 11th house. Jennie has an 11th house stellium. This means that Jennie has 3 or more planets in the 11th house, which means her friendships, the group she's a part of, her hopes and dreams for the future, and her sense of social awareness play a major aspect in her life. Her 11th house is in Capricorn. She has developed both a private and public image personality. Since her public image is the most perfected version of herself, it is hard for her not to let others know about her real character. She prefers talking to people one-on-one and avoids crowds of people. And since Capricorn rules the 10th house, the house of career, she tends to meet many of her friends through her career and work life. Next is her Uranus in the 11th house. Even though Uranus usually craves to be in social circles and create groups with other people, at the same time she also craves to be independent from those people as well. She also feels superior to those who would willingly compromise themselves in order to fit in with other people. While interacting in a group situation, she is likely to come across as a bit detached and erratic. She prides herself in being alone. However, she is likely connected really well to people who share her ideals, and her friendships usually last a very long time. Next is her Mercury in the 11th house. She's attracted to friends who bring new ideas into her experience and has something to contribute on an intellectual level. She is very forward-thinking and fair-minded. There may be many changes or fluctuations in her personal wishes, dreams, plans, and ideals, and she may attract friends who come and go and who are dishonest and mischievous. Next is Jennie's Mercury in retrograde. This means that Jennie may have a hard time articulating what she is thinking in her mind properly, and she may struggle with taking in and learning new knowledge. Or overall, she may have an alternative learning style compared to the average person. Because of the struggle with the way she perceives things and her ability to learn, there can be a lot of thinking, double-checking, and reviewing of thoughts and ideas before communicating them. Next is her Mars in the 11th house. She will use her ability to work with other people to achieve her personal goals. She may only have a couple of close friends, likely because she is too busy enlarging her circle to establish many permanent relationships. She wasn't born a team player, but will find that support is necessary for her to achieve her ambitions. Cooperation and coordination should be her key words for success and play a major factor in her life pattern of expansion. Next is her 12th house. The 12th house is the house of spirituality, service to humanity, self-sacrifice, escapism, and repression. Jennie has her 12th house in Aquarius. She will never be truly satisfied with her freedom as long as she's bound to earth. The concept of spirituality is able to help her with her mental health as well as her guidance in life. Overall, she will have a desire to be set free, to be unique, and to be apart from other people. Next is her Venus in the 12th house. She is not the best at defining her boundaries in relationships, such as her needs and their partner's needs in a relationship. And overall, she can get hurt in love rather easily. Partners who mistake her compassion for weakness may try to take advantage of her. Being openly affectionate and trusting others often doesn't seem safe or comfortable to her. She may feel her love won't be appreciated or reciprocated. She may prefer to get involved in secret love affairs or prefers to keep her romantic life private, as we've already seen before. Love and sacrifice often seem to go hand in hand for her, such as having to give up something to be with the one she loves. Last but not least is her Saturn in the 12th house. She may feel left out or isolated if people do not compliment her work or compliment her achievements. Sometimes she feels like her hard work and responsibilities are dragging her down as if her work is pointless. But she has to learn that good ideas are simply not enough in order for her to achieve her goals. If she wants to achieve her goals, hard work is definitely necessary. Okay guys, this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you wish to purchase an astrology or tarot card reading from me, click the link in the description below. If you wish to DM me a question privately, here's my Instagram. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to stay snatched.